I'm apprehensive to say this because the headlines can be crazy, but she did have like a thing where she felt connected to, she was very intuitive.
At just 9 years old, Lisa Marie Presley felt an intuition that affected her life forever. The night before her father's death, when the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, passed away, Lisa Marie sensed something was amiss. Her quiet observations and heartfelt childhood letters reflected a deep awareness of his struggles, an unforgettable memory of the unexplainable relationship between a father and daughter. What did she notice, and how did it shape the legacy of this iconic family? Keep rocking with us. Subscribe for more Elvis stories, music, and history. Elvis Presley's daughter, Lisa Marie Presley's life was so much connected to the legend of her father. She was born into the fancy and crazy world of Graceland and grew up with both the love and problems that come with being famous. But even with all the fame and action, her relationship with Elvis stood out. Because they were father and daughter, they had times of quiet connection that only a father and daughter could share. Lisa Marie, then 9 years old, did something that should have felt regular on the night before Elvis's untimely death in August 1977. She said goodnight to her father, but this night was not like any other for her. Lisa Marie later said that even though she was young, she had a strong feeling that something was wrong. She may not have fully understood how bad what was going to happen was, but her gut told her a lot. For a child, these restless emotions are hard to put into words, but they have a weight that can't be ignored. Maybe it was the small changes in her dad's behavior, tone, or even just being there that set off alarms in her head. For years, Elvis had been having health problems. He may have shown signs that no one else saw but his daughter, who loved him very much. When Lisa Marie thinks back on that night, it shows how strong and strange the bond between a parent and child can be. Her insight wasn't based on what she knew, but on the strong emotional connection they had with each other. Many people in the house may have been busy with the normal chaos, but Lisa Marie's simple act of saying goodbye to her father became a moment she will never forget, showing how close she was to him. Lisa Marie Presley's memories of her father show how aware she was of her father's details as a child. Lisa Marie had a unique view of Graceland, even though it was a busy house full of family, staff, and guests. She often found herself observing things in silence, where she saw things that other people might have missed. Elvis was known for being bigger than life, but in the last few years of his life, he had a lot of personal problems. Lisa Marie often saw her father in weak situations. She remembers seeing him lean on railings for support, which was a clear sign that his health was getting worse. These small events, which didn't seem important by themselves, showed that the man was dealing with more than just physical tiredness. Lisa Marie also said that she noticed her father being out of sorts in private places, like the bathroom. These things didn't happen to kids her age very often, and they definitely left an impact. Since Lisa Marie grew up in a place where looks were very important, her ability to see past the obvious shows how aware she is. Some people in the house might have thought these things were just part of living with a famous person, but Lisa Marie saw them differently. Because she was close to Elvis, she could tell when his energy, stance, and behavior changed. It's like she was there when a story fell apart, but she saw it all through the innocent and sensitive eyes of a child. Even though she was young, she was able to notice and think about these events, which shows how close she was to her father. It wasn't just what she saw, it was also how she felt, a quiet recognition of the problems the man she called Dad was going through that she couldn't see. Lisa Marie Presley's childhood letters show the deep connection she shared with her father, Elvis Presley, and the emotional maturity she displayed even as a young girl. These handwritten notes, preserved through time, offer a window into her innocent yet profound understanding of her father's struggles. In these letters, Lisa Marie expressed fears that no child should have to confront. She openly worried about Elvis's health and penned her thoughts in heartfelt words that reflected her love and concern. Among these was a particularly striking sentiment: "I hope my daddy doesn't die." This simple yet haunting sentence reveals the depth of her awareness of Elvis's declining condition, even if she couldn't fully grasp the complexities of adult life. The letters were more than mere words. They were an outlet for her emotions, a way to communicate feelings that she perhaps couldn't express verbally. Growing up in the shadow of fame, Lisa Marie might have found it difficult to share her fears openly. These letters became a safe space where she could articulate her worries, a testament to her intuitive understanding of her father's fragility. These writings also reflect a child's yearning to protect her parent. despite her limited ability to do so. They reveal a touching vulnerability. Lisa Marie knew something was wrong, yet she also clung to hope. The simplicity of her words carried a weight that resonates even decades later. These letters are the evidence of how deeply she cared for Elvis beyond the glitz and glamour of their public lives. Through these heartfelt notes, Lisa Marie not only demonstrated her emotional depth, but also provided a snapshot of the unseen struggles within the Presley household. These letters are behind the iconic status of Elvis Presley was a family navigating deeply personal challenges. Graceland was Elvis Presley's famous home. It was a place of grandeur and pleasure. It was the perfect example of his out-of-this-world personality, and fans and guests were amazed by how luxurious it was. But there was a more complicated truth below the shine, which Riley Keough called a house divided. Graceland's outdoor areas were full of people and things to do. The rooms were full of guests, staff, and friends, making it feel like there was always something to celebrate. These places showed how Elvis was seen as a cultural icon, a man whose charm and skill drew in millions of people. But a different story was told behind closed doors in the upstairs rooms. It was in this private area of the house that Elvis and Lisa Marie shared their most private times. A world away from the chaos below, it was quieter and more personal. Elvis could get away from the stress of being famous and spend time with his daughter without anyone being around to see them. Lisa Marie loved these private times because they gave her a rare look at her dad as a dad and not the king of rock and roll. Even though the house was a safe place, it was not immune to the problems that come with fame and personal problems. Riley Keough later said that she could feel the stress in the house. The public saw a house full of life and wealth, but Elvis's family had to deal with his failing health and the emotional toll it took on those closest to him. Lisa Marie's view of her father's life was shaped by the difference between these two worlds, one of public joy and one of private pain. She saw for herself the contrast of being an Elvis Presley, the love of fans and the private fights that came with it. The way she remembered and passed on her father's heritage was affected by this contradictory nature. When people woke up on August 16, 1977, they saw a tragedy that would shock people for years to come. A heart attack took the life of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. He was 42 years old. The news broke the hearts of millions of people who looked up to him, but for Lisa Marie Presley, who was only 9 years old at the time, it was a very personal loss that would change her whole life. That early morning at Graceland, the place was like any other for young Lisa. Usually the huge house was full of people and things going on, but that day there was an uneasy silence in the air. Lisa later talked about the intense restlessness she felt even before she heard the terrible news. It was like she knew something was wrong deep down, but she wasn't sure how to explain it at such a young age. The circumstances leading up to Elvis's death made that terrible morning even worse. Elvis was found dead in his bathroom. His death was thought to have been caused by cardiac arrest, which was caused by years of health problems and an unhealthy lifestyle. Lisa was hit hard by a huge sense of loss, confusion, and sadness because the event happened so quickly. From that point on, Lisa Marie's life would never be the same again. Instead of just being the daughter of a famous person, she became the person who would carry on his fame and work. In the years that followed, Lisa Marie had to deal with the difficult task of protecting her father's image while also figuring out who she was. This day was the start of her long journey to deal with her sadness and make sure that Elvis Presley's story would live on for future generations. After many years, Lisa's daughter Riley Keough became a writer to share her mother's feelings and experiences that she had never told anyone else. Riley, a successful actress and director, decided to honor her family's history by talking to Oprah Winfrey about her mother's memory. This chat not only went into detail about how Elvis Presley's death affected Lisa Marie deeply, but it also showed how strong the Presley family is. Riley talked about how her mother's life was changed forever by the death of her child when she was so young. Lisa Marie had told Riley many times how vividly she remembered that important morning and how it had changed her heart and mind forever. Lisa Marie's choices, relationships, and sense of self were all affected by the fact that she lost her father when she was 9 years old. Riley also said in the interview that Lisa Marie had started writing a book before she died. In it, she would talk about her own life and the hard parts of growing up in the spotlight of Elvis's fame. Riley finished the book after Lisa Marie died by using tapes that her mother had made to make sure that her voice and point of view were kept. The book is both a tribute to Lisa Marie's strength and the next part in the story of the Presley family. It gives fans and future generations a look into their lives when they weren't in the public eye. The world learned more about how strong Lisa Marie was to deal with the stresses of fame and personal loss through Riley's honest confessions. Riley has not only honored Lisa Marie's memory, Marie by telling her mother's story, but she has also strengthened Elvis Presley's legacy by showing how their family is united in love, strength, and connection. In a surprising interview with Oprah, Riley Keough shared some of Elvis Presley's most treasured personal things, which gave viewers a look into his private life. Carefully kept, these items helped us learn more about the man behind the legend. A comb, a Bible, and an unknown black box that Elvis carried around with him were some of the things that were talked about. Elvis's spiritual side was shown by the Bible, which was written in 1957. Elvis was a rock and roll icon, but he was also very self-reflective and often turned to religious books for comfort. The notes and circle parts in this Bible showed that he was looking for help and comfort during hard times. It is the warning that even famous people look for meaning and comfort in their private lives. The comb, which seemed like a simple thing, had a special meaning to her. This simple item, which still had pieces of Elvis's hair in it, was a very real link for Riley and her family to their father. Fans and family alike saw it as a representation of the real Elvis, the man who worked hard to keep up his famous look. The most interesting thing was a black box that looked like a purse and that Elvis was said to have carried with him everywhere. This box held things that he thought were important. It had an old Amex card from 1972 in it, which seemed to have more of an emotional value than a practical one. Having something like this around showed how much Elvis cared about his personal memories, keeping small, important pieces of his life alive. All of these things showed that the man, despite his fame, held on to the simple, everyday things that kept him grounded. They helped people see Elvis not only as a cultural hero, but also as a real person who loved memories and moments just like everyone else. Riley Keough added a fun element to the story of the Presley family by telling funny stories about Lisa Marie Presley's childhood at Graceland in the same interview. Lisa Marie's golf cart key was one of the things that were talked about. It was a small but important reminder of the exciting time she had growing up in the famous Presley home. Graceland was more than just a house for young Lisa Marie. With its huge fields, it was like a magical world. Riley talked about how her mother would get in golf carts and drive around the farm while being very happy. It was like being a child again, that freedom, even though he was famous at the time. But this freedom often came with funny accidents. Lisa Marie often crashed the golf carts when she was young and excited, which made everyone around her laugh. Though these memories were funny, they gave Lisa Marie a rare look into the relaxed side of her life. Growing up in a family with both great wealth and personal problems, times like these helped her forget about the weight of her family's history. The golf cart key, which is now kept as a personal item, was a sign of how energetic and naughty she was. Riley's stories brought these memories back to life and reminded us that Lisa Marie found ways to be happy even with all the fame and chaos at Graceland. It showed how she could find humor in things, which may have helped her deal with the difficulties of being Elvis Presley's daughter. These playful stories were a nice break from the more serious parts of the Presley family history. They showed a free, youthful, and full of life side of Lisa Marie. What does From Here to the Great Unknown really mean? The memoir by Lisa Marie Presley is called From Here to the Great Unknown, which has a very personal and symbolic meaning. This phrase is more than just a bunch of words. It shows how she dealt with her sadness, learned about herself, and came to understand life and death. In talks, her daughter Riley Keough talked about the two meanings behind the title. The title first refers to a song Lisa Marie sang with her father, Elvis Presley. This song was a turning point in her life because it showed how she felt about Elvis as both her father and a cultural and personal hero. Lisa Marie was able to honor her father in a special way by singing with him. The phrase, Great Unknown, hit her hard because it described how she felt about figuring out life without her father after he died too soon. Riley sees the great unknown as a symbol of a deeper spiritual thought. She thought it meant believing that life goes on after death, which gives people hope and comfort when they are grieving. Lisa Marie was able to turn her sadness into a journey of discovery and growth by thinking about this idea. In the absence of her father, she used this thought to give her life meaning and to carry on his work with strength and determination. Lisa Marie's strength is shown in her story. It talks about her personal struggles, how much she loves her family, and how determined she is to remember her father's memory. By using her mother's recordings to finish the memoir, Riley made sure that Lisa Marie's voice would live on, even after she died. So, the title is both a sign of hope and a reflection of the strong bond between a father and daughter that goes beyond time and place. As a world-famous figure, Elvis Presley left behind a lot more than just his songs. Lisa Marie Presley, who was his only daughter, was in charge of keeping and explaining this heritage. She taught her own children, including Riley Keough, how to do it. Riley is now an important part of making sure that the Presley story stays important and relevant for new generations. She has respected the family's history in ways that that bring together longtime Elvis fans and people who are new to the world of Elvis through her work, such as finishing Lisa Marie's memoir. Riley has done a lot to carry on this tradition by showing the human side of Elvis and Lisa Marie. By talking about their problems and successes, she has helped to break down the mythical image that people often have of the Presley family and given people a more realistic and complex picture of who they were. This way of telling the story has helped people connect with the family's story on a deeper emotional level. Riley's point of view also brings out the themes of family, relationship, and strength that define the Presley family. Elvis Presley died too soon, and Lisa Marie had a hard time dealing with her sadness. But the Presley family has always been united by their love and devotion to each other. Riley's work has made sure that this story of love and determination stays at the heart of the family's history. Riley Keough has made sure that the Presley story isn't just a story from the past. Through her memoir, interviews, and personal reflections, she has made it a trip of inspiration and connection that will never end. The story of Lisa Marie Presley's intuition and the legacy of the Presley family are the unspoken connections that define us. Through her memoir and Riley Keough's heartfelt storytelling, we gain a glimpse into the intimate moments that shaped their lives. If this story made you feel the human relationship, share it with others and subscribe to stay connected with more inspiring and heartfelt stories. The legacy of Elvis Presley and his family continues to inspire us all.